Hello everybody, today we're going to be registering on SAM.gov. So make sure you're on SAM.gov and let's go to the next step. We're going to be registering our unique ID. So anyways, you click get started, then you go to the Dun & Bradstreet web form. You pull up your Dun & Bradstreet number. And I will be clicking right here. Click. Now, you click on this form here and you can search for your company. And there you'll get your Dun & Bradstreet number. So next we click sign in. And as you know, everyone needs to register with login.gov, which is like an ID system. I chose English. Oh, I'm sorry. You put in your email address, then you choose English. Or you can choose Spanish, Espanol, or Francois, French. Anyways, I'm going for English, and then you click. Someone's at the front door. Then you click submit. Click. Anyways, you're going to receive a confirmation email, and once you get that email, you follow the instructions about creating your account. That part is pretty easy, so I'm sure you can get past that one. Next, we go back to SAM.gov. And you click register entity. Entity is your company, daycare, or it could just be under your name. This is where it goes. You want to register as a business organization, or unless you're a tribal government, but probably not. Anyways, why are you registering as entity? Because I want to apply for federal assistance opportunities like grants, loans, and other financial assistance programs. If you click on the bid one, it's going to be pretty extensive, the amount of questions. So I would just choose the second option because we are going for a grant. Next, I'm going to click next. Now, for assistance awards only, these are the steps that you're going to have to fill in. And in the second part of this, which is in about 10 minutes, you'll see, but this is kind of an overview. It's going to tell you what information you need. For awards only, as you can see, it's a lot shorter. So here we go. Now we go to the next. In-Cage is like very deep. It's going to ask you a lot of questions. It's not really pertaining to daycares. It's primarily for doing bidding and looking for bids from the government. Next, you enter your DUNS number. Your DUNS number is a unique ID provided by Dun & Bradstreet. So you put in your DUNS number, you put in the legal business name, whether it's your daycare or your actual Bernasconi Family Childcare or whatever it is, your name is. Then you enter the street address. And remember, this information needs to match what is on Dun & Bradstreet because it's going to compare the file and it won't get to the next step unless everything is exactly the same. So here we go. Again, I'm using an old company name to go through the registration process because I wanted to be able to show. So here we are. They found a match. Now, if something doesn't match, it won't get here. It's going to tell you not found. So you want to make sure that it's found. You can choose to allow the selected record to be publicly displayed. In other words, like people will be able to search it up when they're inside of SAM. But you don't have to, or you can. It's your choice. Now it's been validated. It says, hey, I'm a match. Here's your unique entity ID number, your SAM. So now that you've gotten this far, it's like the first step is done, but then you need to update it. And here's how I'm going to show you how to register and finish the registration. Now you go back to your workspace and you're going to see that it's going to say draft. Next, when you register your entity, your company, it's going to say submitted. And then it's going to say ID assigned after they verify the information. Next, let's go to entity where your registration. You click on your company name and it will bring you to this screen. Here you enter your, when you started doing business, you want to enter your fiscal close in, which is normally December 31st. Next, you would be entering your division name if you have one, or division number, but usually none of those will apply if you're just a daycare. Under the MPIN, you want to enter a unique number or code, so that it's going to ask you for that later on in the application. Here you want to have your address, but again, I would copy the physical address and just let it go with whatever it's got from Dun & Bradstreet. Save and continue, and on this page, it's an Irs Consent. So in other words, they're going to match the information that is on file for your tax return, and it's going to compare it, and they're going to have to compare the files and make sure they match. And that's one of the reasons why they take more than, like 2 or 3 days or whatever to do this confirmation. So here you want to make sure that your name is proper, your social security, that your address is exactly the way it is on your tax return. And in this little box down here, it's going to say where your signature is. That's where you put that special number that you created on the previous page. You want to put it in there, and so it'll take it, and then you put today's date, and then you just click save and continue. In this next section that's coming up, it's going to ask you about a cage code. You just click no, because we don't have a cage code. Next, it's going to ask you about your, if you have any other company has control over your company, no. And again, save and continue. This next box is, does anyone else, do you have contracts with the federal government in the past 3 years? No. And this one here, it talks about incorporation. On this page called Core Data or General Information, it's going to ask you questions like country of incorporation. I know you may not be incorporated, but you still have to give it an answer. So you have to select a value. I selected United States. My state of incorporation is going to be California, which you'll see populate in a second. And then on the next one, it's going to ask you about your security level. Under the security level, it's not applicable. But here, let me go back. I selected California, select the value, not applicable. And again, highest employee security level, not applicable. How is your business institution type? It's also not applicable. If you're disadvantaged business, if you're registered as disadvantaged, you would click yes, and then you would give more information. If you're a Native American, you would fill out this section. Optimization. Here's the thing. This is mainly for being able to search you out. So, your entity structure is a sole proprietor. Under organizational factors, you want to put in for profit. Now, under socioeconomic categories, you would select whatever is applicable for you. On this page, they're going to ask you for your bank account information so that they're able to, basically compare names and, tie everything together. They'll ask you if you do credit cards as a method of payment, which we don't. And then it's going to ask you for your bank, routing, and all the other information. And once you get it all in there, you click submit. Under executive compensation questions, it's going to ask you, if you've been getting, like comps and so forth. So, for daycare, no. Click here, Next, on this page here, it's asking you if you have any current contracts and or if you're bidding on any contracts. In this case, we're not. So I would select no here and then go to the next page, because basically they want to know if you're like in the middle of doing contracts or not. And save and continue. Here we're talking about like a full review of, you know, the first portion and kind of like verifying everything you want to verify it before it allow you to go on to the next step. So here I was reviewing it and checking it out just to see if everything was, you know, clicked. It's, you know, just a verification of all the questions you already answered. And then I click save and continue, and it'll take you to this next portion, which talks about your NAIC code. So in this box here, you click search, but you know, you put in 624,410 for, you know, childcare, and you click search, and then you add it once you find it. I had to do this one because mine was structured different. So once you click add, you're in. Save and continue after that point. You know, it should show up on this list right here. So, and you can add a few, take a few out, whatever you choose. So you go over here. Once you find, you know, the daycare, childcare, you would you can click add on any of the ones that pertain to you. So, you know, if you're into beauty services, or in my case, communication equipment repair and maintenance, because it's going to bring up a whole set of questions for it. So, you know, you want to choose wisely so that you, and preferably simple so that you don't get too many questions. Then you click next, save and continue. On this page here, it's saying I made a mistake. So I had to take them out, and I had to add just one. And so you just select one, and then it will allow you to go into the next page. On this page here, it's going to ask you what your annual receipts are. In this case, this business has, it's new, so it doesn't have any receipts. And it wouldn't let me put 0, so I had to put $100 in there, so it would let me move on. And it's really funny that, oh, you'll see on the next page. But here, you know, it's asking you, you know, it's got to be more. So I put $100 and it took it. It wouldn't take 0. And then, come on. I was checking the instructions, and just to make sure everything was cool. I ended up having it take it out of the worldwide, which was wrong, and I put it into, actually no, I did put it back. Let me see here. Yeah, so it did take it. Sorry about that. Anyways, your EDI information, like if you have data linking, no. Unless you're like Boeing or Northrop, you won't have any data linking. Next, it's going to ask you about, here you want to just put no under disaster response registry, because that'll take you into like a whole, you know, government section, and they're going to ask you for licenses. On this page here, you're doing your assertions. So you're going over the information you just entered, and then you move on to save and continue, you know, once you've checked your information. And on this page here, it's going to ask you a lot of information about, you know, who's responsible. You have to add a new person. In this case, I added myself because I'm the person responsible. And your title. Then it's it asks if I have any other, you know, plants or locations. No, I do not. It's asking you for like the other place's address, which you don't need. That information's already in. This is, again, you know, like environment EPA stuff. I just put in a value of there's either, I believe there's no or only if you will provide information specific to the government. Is website VTR a small business and wishes to be considered a status surplus? No, because that'll take you into a whole more questions. Is website controlled by a common parent? Nope, it's just us. We're just a sole proprietor. Just no. And then the next box is if it's yes, then you have to provide the parent company. There's not an active exclusion for website VTR in my case. In your case, it would be the same values as no. Past 3 years, contracts and so forth, no. Delinquent federal taxes, I hope you have not, so it should be no. Have you been indicted criminally? No. And past 3 years, you've been terminated for cause? No. That has to do with like termination of a contract. Please list any hub zone businesses, which we have none. It's not predominantly, in your case, you could, when you fill out the section about women owned, then it's going to give you a value there. Does website VTR provide any data to the government? No. On this page here, it's the FAR response, page 3. You're kind of just going over it. It's telling me that in my line of business, my budget should be $12 million, and I wish it was. I wish my company was at $12 million, but it asked me to select a value, and I was like, interesting. Maybe I should go into government bidding, because if my company could be doing $12 million a year, I may not be doing videos, or maybe I will. Not quite sure yet. But I wanted to go over all of this because it didn't give me an option to put my own value of what my company is doing. So I guess I'm considered poor, or whatever. Anyways, it's no. Do we deliver products from another country? And you'll see it on the next section. It's going to be no on this one. Has website VTR had previous contracts? No. Have we had any products delivered to the government? No. Has website met all EOE compliances? Yes. We always do. We do our best to stay up to date. Please choose the following statements. Applies to website VTR. Is downloaded, has affirmative action programs, Secretary of State. Actually, I put has not. So I put has not because, we do meet the program requirements, but we're not regulated. Does website VTR provide maintenance, calibration, and technical products? In this case, I'm putting no. Or vendor will verify information. But I'd probably put no for a childcare. But again, these questions are going to be a little different because, as you can see, they're tailored for the type of business and NAIC code that I put in. So under childcare, it may be a little different, but they just want to know if you've had contracts or you've failed. Does website VTR provide services as described? And these are codes. No, I haven't provided anything. Is website VTR a domestic corporation? No. Website VTR subsidiary? No. Does your entity have any unpaid federal? Again, tax questions, felonies. It's no, no. Did website VTR receive? No. We've never received 7.5. I wish I did. Does website VTR cover communication equipment? No. Does website VTR use covered telecommunication? That's like private stuff or whatever? No. It's like, secret. Our records indicate website VTR selected these codes. Part information is not applicable. Does website VTR wish to bid on currently DoD projects? No. Under this section, it's asking you if you have any foreign government contacts. No. Save and continue. Next is asking you about your certifications and whether it's completed. So I have ready, of course, and then I click save and continue. Under here, financial assistance, as was every tier wish to apply for financial assistance project or program. In the case of a childcare, yes. For my business, it's going to be no. But remember, childcare, yes. Next, it's asking me for accounts receivable information, and I finally figured out that you have to put your name, your address, your title, and then you can copy it, like each square down, as you're going to see in a minute. I kept on filling it out and going over it. So the first thing you do is you fill in your name, or basically everything that's red. So it's your name, your title, first name, last name, email, and a phone number. But what's going to happen is when you copy it over to the next square, and POC is your point of contact. In other words, it's going to be you, the person who's responsible. And as I move down here, come on, thought I could type a little quicker, running a little slow. So right here I hit copy, but it wouldn't copy. Why? Because I did not put a phone number. So you gotta have a phone number in there. And you're gonna see that in a minute. I'd actually typed out this little section. I figured it out. Phone number. And then guess what? And then there it is, copy. But then when I went to copy, come down here and copy again, I didn't realize that it needed an address. So as I ran down the list, I was like, save and continue? No, it won't work. Why? Because it needed an address. So at this point, I put in my address, and I had to put it in all of them, in the, I think it's the last two there. As you're gonna see, I was figuring it out, like, nope, that was it. Nope. I needed to enter the address on the next square down. So I figured out here, yeah, there it is. As I said, you gotta have the address in both of those. If I'd put the address in this one first, then I could have copied it and it would have just copied it down to the next one down. But I just typed it in anyways. Then save and continue. Oh my gosh. It says supplemental from the SBA. Here's if you want to register, update your SBA profile. In my case, no. In your case, probably not. Next, it's a verification. You're looking over all the information. You're able to edit it still at this point, and it's going over section by section of everything that you did, and basically next and submit. Sorry, it's submit. And then we wait. Now, it says registration submitted, and that it's going to take like 48 hours for them to verify it with the IRS. And then you click back to your workspace, and you will see that it is now updated. Oh, I think on mine I had to refresh it. But then you're going to see that it's updated, and it'll say submitted. It won't say draft no more. And there it shows submitted, and I'm waiting maybe for confirmation after they do all the verifications that it's gonna become ID assigned, and it will also show as active. On the, I believe it's on the first page, it'll say active or something. Some say ID assigned. Now that you're waiting for your confirmation that your submission has been accepted and for it to be ID assigned and to show active, you should receive an email with the confirmation. Anyways, I wish you guys all the best, and I hope this helped. and good luck on your grant.